What's going on, all you angsty teens? It's the 31 Days of Horror, and Logan and Henry are back tonight. And we're talking about a 90s horror film, a film that I've just visited for the first time this Halloween.
You
We're
did.
talking, that's right, we're talking about 1998. Ooh, disturbing behavior.
Disturbing behavior.
In Cradle Bay, Washington, of all places, the place I just visited recently. Actually, it's filmed in Canada, but Cradle Bay, Cradle Bay, Washington, 1998. What a great year for cinema and music all around. Going into high school, this is a nostalgic film for me. I remember watching this when it came out in '98. Dad rented it, or an HBO, one of the two. And all the stars in this movie were big back then. This is James Marsden's, I think, first big film he did. And Katie Holmes, obviously Dawson's Creek, Nick Stahl was in a ton of movies back then. But this is like the era, American Pie, you had The Faculty, you had all these bunch of great horror movies, comedies coming out during this time of teenagers, 25-year-olds playing teenagers. And this time around, really cool premise in this movie taking place in Cradle Bay is basically they have a way of transforming unruly teenagers into upstanding citizens and good citizens that are, former stoners, mechanics, and they turn them all good. And part of the Blue Ribbons, which is a way of transforming them into robots, and they start freaking out.
Yeah, so much that we can relate to, being from, a smaller town, the football team, the way everybody, all the teachers, love the jocks, the football players, they all wear their Letterman jackets on Fridays. They get all the girls, all the glory, and half of them are doing bad stuff, on the side, but they get all the glory. They, the teachers and the parents think they're, great students. They're doing everything right. Well, in disturbing behavior, there's some mind control at play. Led by Bruce Greenwood, he's figured out a way to do these experiments on these kids and get them to follow, basically to follow his lead. He wants to basically turn everybody into sportos and to dress nice. And he doesn't want any cool kids like James Marsden or Nick Stahl or who's that girl in the middle? What's her name? Oh yeah, Katie Holmes, of course. Huge at the time from
That's
Dawson's
Razor.
Creek.
That's Razor.
That's Razor. Yeah, she says that during the film. We're still trying to decipher that, but yeah, just a fun film. This movie. I was thinking about Halloween 3 during this with the mind control aspect. The messaging behind. So we see Chug, one of the blue ribbons, in a supermarket, and he casts his eyes over on Rachel. He sees her, and it drives him wild. You see his eyes change, and then all of a sudden he starts beating the shit out of these people in the store. It's a hilarious scene. I was laughing from the get go, and that's the point where the movie, like, it took a hold of me, and I really enjoyed it. Just the fun aspect. It reminded me a lot of The Faculty, like you mentioned at the time. And I think back then I must have watched The Faculty, and this kind of flew under the radar because whatever the reason was, I didn't get to watch this. But it did remind me a lot of that, and it also featured some great '90s music, led by the Flies. Got you where I want you. You'll remember
Got
that too.
you where I want you. And Harvey
Yes,
Danger. Harvey Danger was the big music video song that came out from this movie that
yes.
really put this movie on the map and the band on the map back then for one album. But that was the big song. Back then in the '90s, they had a lot of great soundtracks. They had like a lot of good rock music, pop music, and this is a good example of that. Really sets the tone of the overall film and what these kids are going through and trying to escape this small town in Washington from the mind control and being the perfect teens and the blue ribbons.
Yeah, and William Sadler plays a really cool role as like the weird, creepy guy that hangs out in the sewer. He's always trying to catch these rats.
It's a
Well, of
janitor.
course,
Yeah.
yes, the janitor, and just an overall, he's a weirdo, but by the end of the film, he becomes the hero, which I really appreciated. You had mentioned his character going into the film, and I didn't know what to expect, and I came out just excited by his performance. It's over the top. It's just what you want in this kind of film, and I love what happened at the end with his character. Love the cast in this. My MVP and yours probably too, Nick Stahl really does a great job in this film. One of my favorite performances for sure from him. And at the time, and of course, James Marsden, who never ages.
Yeah.
This was one of his first films. Out of the three leads, I really liked all three of them, really. Not a weak link there. They all went on to have great careers and are still, acting to this day. And the film holds up because of the three of them. They don't take the over the top and crazy plot of the film. They don't treat it like that. They treat it like this thing's really happening in their small town. And you get a good John Carpenter vibe with this film, which is what I felt a lot.
Paying homage to Mr. Carpenter, just a lot of the sequences and the way they shot it, and obviously some of the music too was pretty cool. The score, I like the intro of the movie with the music and stuff. I think that's really cool. Sets the tone to it. Great performances. I've always loved Nick Stahl. He's finally making a comeback. He had a rough patch there for a long time, but he's been acting. He was in Hunter with Devon Sawa not too long ago. But him playing Gavin Strick was really great. I loved UV in this movie. Another actor was in Final Destination back around the same time. So there's a lot of good Powder, exactly. It doesn't look like that in real life, but in the movie it does. But yeah, James Marsden and Katie Holmes all still have great careers. Really fun movie for the 1990s. Definitely wouldn't hold up now, or if they put this out now, it just wouldn't work. No. Didn't have the magic. It was silly. It was a fun time back then. It had a lot to say, and it really stands the test of time all these years later. One of my favorite films from this era, especially 1998. One of the better ones that I felt that is underrated. People don't talk about this movie enough, and it's a movie you should definitely check out during the Halloween season. It's currently streaming at HBO Max. That being said, one of my favorites from 1998, I'm giving Disturbing Behavior a 4 out of 5 James Marsden hair pieces. Ooh.
Awesome watching this for the first time. You recommended it to me. I streamed it on HBO Max and was pleasantly surprised with what I saw. Reminded me a lot of our high school days, our small town, some of the sportos and that with the Letterman jackets, kind of the, the mind control aspect of the whole thing. Just trying to break away from that, love the soundtrack, the way the movie looks, the atmosphere, the nods to John Carpenter, the score, everything about it. I really liked and enjoyed, and I can't wait to revisit this movie again. I've only seen it once, and I definitely want to watch it again, which is always a good sign. It's not a throwaway film. It's one that you can go back to back, maybe watch The Faculty and The Disturbing Behavior next Halloween. So with that being said, I am going to give Disturbing Behavior from 1998 a 3.5 out of 5 Katie Holmes hair pieces.
So would you wild rascals think of Disturbing Behavior? What'd you like about it? What didn't you like about it? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to click subscribe. Also check out these wild rascals on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and our website, Cinephellas.com, for the latest, greatest TV movie news and reviews.
Woo! 31 Days of Horror. It's flying by. We've already done a lot of reviews already, but we're just getting started. We got a lot of new movies and a lot of shows coming out in the month of October, and we're going to be back to review them all along with the other Cinephellas boys. Stay tuned. We're going to have some Halloween podcasts coming up to talk about all things horror. This month is our favorite of the year, and I love watching all these horror movies, and we can't wait to be back with you guys again to talk about another horror film for 31 Days of Horror. So we're signing out from Cradle Bay. Until the next 31 Days of Horror movie review, I'm Uncle Henry Hill.
And I'm Uncle Logan Stahl. Until next time.
Cheers!
That's Razor.